Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday night crime knitting with your host, Jill. How are you guys doing tonight? I am so glad to be in here again doing a video with you guys. Although I do have to tell you, I'm tired. This Momo is tired. Hers happily tired. Oh, goodness. It's been a week with the grand boys and Chelsea, and we had so much fun. Oh, so much fun. It was just absolutely wonderful. So, hello to everyone, to Rosie and to Annie, who has been cooking up a storm. To Dana, good to see you. Hello, and Sandy Michaels and Joan Diamond Girl. And we have, I thought I saw Mary Webb come in. Yes, there's Mary Webb. Oh, I'm glad you missed me. I'm glad you missed me. Hey, Frozen, good to see you. Lorna is here. Colleen Hahn. You need this time? Well, good. Awesome. And I think Chelsea will be in here in a little while. I'm not sure if she'll be here from the beginning or if she'll be able to stay for the whole thing. She is tired. She drove all day today. So I don't know how well she's going to feel like being in here. Barbara Clark, good to see you. Awesome. So how are you guys doing? I'd like to know if you guys have been keeping up with the Lori Vallow trial. Have you been watching the clips from East Idaho News? Watching things from other places, maybe Fox 10. There's a lot of places who have been giving some updates on the trial. However, as you know, just as a reminder, try and turn my fan on. Me and this fan, y'all, it's been going round and round with that thing. There it goes. Didn't want it to make too much noise. Hey, Sharon, she's here. Yay. Okay, no problem. Yes, I've been watching Nate. He has been doing some fantastic. It's very podcast-like, very podcast style. Courtroom Insider, I think, is what Nate is calling his podcast, and so he's been coming and giving updates, and it's been wonderful to spend that time with him. Hello, Bree. So what do you guys think so far of this trial? What do you think? Oh no, Annie, not again. Girl, you have had those storms come through. You do. I would be upset too. I put on some lip gloss and now I've got hair stuck to my lips. The yarn I was working with a little bit earlier, I think it's all over my shirt now. I may have to use a roller and get some of that off of my shirt because now it's flying up and getting onto my lip gloss. Oh, goodness. Lori Clips, stepmother killer case. I know. Colleen, I have not watched any of that one yet. I'm kind of waiting for that one to finalize. That one is heartbreaking. The stepmom case is just heartbreaking. Oh my goodness, painted your living room. Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, Annie, I don't know if are you scared or are you just worried you're going to lose your electricity again and have nothing for a while like last time? That would be I'm like, no, not again. We're going to will it away, okay? Okay, so I haven't seen that. I have not seen that yet. So there was gun evidence today. Oh, okay, so tell me. I was watching and I didn't see that come up. Yeah, Letitia Staunch, the stepmom. Ugh. Isn't that it? The stepmom? Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, Annie. I bet you are worried about that. Mm-mm-mm. Well, that's cool. Where did you see this at, Annie? Which network did you see the gun expert on? Hi, Tammy. On lawn crime. Okay, I'll check over there. Very informative the way she used demonstratives. Great. Yeah, I know the other women in general population would really not be too happy. They're not happy with moms who kill their children. Right, Mary? What the hell is wrong with people? So I was listening to Gigi and she was talking about because she has been in the courtroom. Now, if y'all don't know who I mean, I've been listening to Gigi McClavey, and she is Pretty Lies and Alibis. That is her podcast. And this case is how she started. So she has a lot of knowledge. I have been going back and listening from the beginning, and I'm going to have to do it again because I'm going back and forth between the new stuff and then the stuff that she covered before. She did some really deep dives on this stuff. And the thing I can tell you from listening to it is that Lori Vallow has always been very manipulative. She has always been thought she was pretty or sweet or whatever, and she would get away with and get whatever she wanted. And so far, she has managed to do that. And ever since that she left home as a, getting out of school, teenager, all those things, seems like ever since she left home, that she has moved around a lot. She has been and lived in a lot of places. I would say that she has lived in at least 24 different places. I mean, I may be exaggerating, but that's what it sounds like. I haven't gone back and ticked them off. But she has lived in a lot of places, and none of them very long, it seems like. Married 5 times, all kinds of things that has moved her around. Getting some work done for the day. Okay, awesome. Yeah, that case, that was probably the one that he cut his teeth on. Yeah, I forget the name of that boy, but that was terrible. I have not dug into that case, but that one is awful. Hello, Sarah. Good to see you. And I don't know if Wendy Joe, did she come in? Because I want her to know that I did get my package and that I will be opening it soon. But I did get it, and I thank you very much. Whatever is in it, I want to say thank you to Wendy Joe for sending me that package. But I did go and pick it up. So Wendy, if you're watching, I got my package. Yeah, it's And I don't know, Annie, because I'm still not sure right now whether Lori actually killed anybody. And they're not actually saying that either. Lori is being tried for conspiracy and she's being tried for their murders, but they're so far not saying that she is the one that murdered them. They're saying that she conspired to have them killed. So, and she's co-defendant. Let's do not forget that she is a co-defendant. A lot of people think this is just her trial. And while this particular trial is about Lori, she is a co-defendant with Chad and Alex. And Alex, Alex can't be put on trial because he is dead. Hi, Laura. Yeah, conspiracy. I know, the Bakersfield boys. Yes, and that is also what the state is saying, Annie, and that is that it doesn't matter whether she did. It's a lot to me. Her role seems a lot like in the Wagner case we covered here, that like George was found guilty by conspiracy of killing the rodents, even though he did not actually shoot any of them. He was present. He was there. He was a part of all of the planning that went into killing the rodents. So he was found guilty by means of conspiracy. And I think that's what they're going for this time with Lori as well. Although we have to wait and see, because if the forensics come back and they find that she did anything, or if there was a direct witness that saw her do something, I don't know. We have to wait and see. You know, if there's a direct witness that says, I saw her give JJ a glass of Kool-Aid, and then later we find out that JJ was drugged, that directly implicates her. We haven't heard that yet. And that's not something that's been brought in as evidence. I'm just saying that's one case that could directly put her, as murder. Now, Melanie from yesterday. Okay, so we had the opening statements. We had Melanie Gibb. We had Brandon Boudreaux. They were both on the stand. We've had the police officer who was at the dig that helped to dig them out of Chad's backyard. We've had other police officers. That's awesome. That's awesome, Annie. Who else has been on the stand, you guys? Help me out here. Who else has been? And now Annie is saying they had a forensics expert, not a ballistics expert today. Because I did not go to Idaho News, which I guess I should have done that before I came on, but I was watching other clips. Let me see here if I can find East Idaho News. And get Nate's notes for today. Oh, it is the only one you listen to, huh? Okay. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. It wasn't fully loaded yet. I don't know how well my internet, it's been acting funny when I open up more than one window. So I'm letting it load. You just now got your notification? I got it right away. Goodness. Do y'all want to see the updates from East Idaho News? I can share this with you. So that is Lori with her. Now, these pictures that come up on here aren't necessarily from today, from court, because there are no cameras. So obviously they don't have that. That is a picture of Judge Boyce. They have an artist doing renderings. They don't exactly look like her. So let me go back to, and when you see his updates, you have to go back to the bottom and find because he does them about every 5 minutes. So you have to go all the way back to the bottom to where it starts. So he says, back in the courtroom, Lori's wearing a black jacket, white cream colored pants with a pattern on them. Larry and Kay Woodcock are in the courtroom with family members. Annie Cushing is also here. Chandler Police Detective Nathan Duncan will be back on the stand this morning. Yesterday, the defense had some questions about a PowerPoint exhibit the state wanted to admit into evidence. Defense says they have no objection to the presentation, and the jurors are about to be brought into the courtroom. Lori just turned around, smiled, and mouthed "Hi" in our direction. John Thomas, her attorney, has some family members here sitting in front of us, so it's likely she was smiling at them. Also, let me just say, I don't know if you guys know. Oh, he's home. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Sandy. I hope he's doing better. I so hope he's doing better. So, the lead prosecutor for the state, her dad died. And so court was short yesterday. And then she came in today and she got up there and worked all day. She worked all day. Now, they're going to not have a court Monday, and I'm guessing that is so she can bury her father. So, I kudos to her. There's no way I could have come all back in and been in court. So, unbelievable. Fremont County prosecuting attorney Lindsay Blake, and that's the one whose father died. Lindsay Blake is questioning Detective Duncan, talking about cell data and information found in Charles Vallow's iCloud account. Duncan says in early 2020, Chandler was working with Idaho police to try and find JJ and Tylee. The PowerPoint exhibit will now be shown to the court. The first slide is an email sent from Charles' email account to Chad Daybell. Duncan reads the email that purports to be from Charles saying he is ready to work on a book with Chad. I'm willing to pay you well to help me get this book into shape as a ghostwriter. I really liked your autobiography and the tone you took with sharing experiences without preaching. The email invites Chad to come visit him in Arizona. Interesting. From Charles and Charles to Chad. Wow. This came from the email address kkwalker75@yahoo.com. Duncan served a search warrant to Yahoo, and the name associated to the account was a Karen Walker. The IP came back to an area in Katy, Texas. The phone number and birthday associated with the account was linked to Lori Vallow. Duncan said there was no indication this email came from Charles. Charles discovered the email at the end of June 2019 and sent it to Adam Cox, Lori's brother. Now, Adam is Lori's other brother, the one who is still alive. Adam and Charles were close. Hey, Chels. So Charles then confronted Lori about the email, and Duncan said Charles had no relationship with Chad Daybell at all. So that's interesting. She used Charles as a way to talk to Chad. Duncan now reading text messages Charles and Lori sent to each other. Charles sent Lori a text message confronting her about the affair with Chad and calls her evil. Says he will take JJ back to Texas. Just so you know, I have Tammy's email address. I will send a copy of my email you sent. Tammy will know what you're up to. You better explain. Charles sent Lori multiple text messages saying she needed to explain herself or he was going to contact Tammy. He said he was going to talk to Tammy in person if he had to and told Lori her game was up. Charles said he had already contacted Tammy via text and phone. Duncan says Charles sent 2 emails to Tammy, one to her personal address, one to her work address. Oh, so he did send it. Duncan now reading the email Charles sent to Tammy saying he had disturbing evidence about her husband and his wife. I apologize to be the one sending this, but something has to be done. I feel it's best to shed some light on this issue. Y'all, this is nuts. I did not know about this. Yes. No. No, I think Charles was first. Oh, I'm so glad to know that, Sandy. I'm so glad he's better. Awesome. Charles sends Tammy another email. Your husband and my wife are having an affair. It's devastating, I know. Duncan contacted the Sugar Salem School District, and officials told Duncan there was no indication the emails were ever read, but they were sent from Charles' account. Now, Tammy, as you guys know or may not know, that Tammy was a teacher at the Sugar Salem School District. She was a librarian. Duncan now reading an email he sent to Chad. I'm Lori's husband, but I'm sure you already knew this. Charles said he is not writing a book and will not be paying anyone for anything. Either you or Lori need to tell me what's going on, or this will be exposed for all to see, he wrote to Chad. And does your wife know you have several of Lori's dance videos? Explain how that is. She sent them to you in January at your request. Dance videos. Okay, now, what is that about? Was she a dancer? I don't know. We're going to find out. Okay. Duncan says Lori was not always responsive to Charles' texts and emails. Duncan now reads messages from July 1st of 19. Charles to Lori. I'm going to Idaho first to see Tammy Daybell. Lori to Charles. She won't listen to you. She is my friend. Okay, so they did have some text back and forth about it. Charles then asked why Lori sent a BS email about a book he wants ghostwritten. There's no reason for it other than to get him in Arizona and have an excuse for his wife. The messages were sent July 1st. Charles was shot and killed on July 11th. Duncan reading messages between Charles and Adam sent before Charles was killed on July 11th between 7:35 and 7:37 a.m. Duncan says the messages from Charles to Adam were sent from the address where Charles was killed. I did know there was something that I did know that he had sent emails to Adam. He was asking for Adam's help. He kind of wanted Adam to be present when he went to the house. Adam, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that Adam was able to go for some reason, like he was in another state. I'm not really sure. Well, I wonder if it was her dancing videos from like when, probably. But I'm wondering if it was the ones from her pageant days when she was in the pageant. Miss Texas pageant. Okay, yeah, so see him and, so right here, you guys, it says Charles and Adam on July 11th between 7:35 and 7:37, there were messages between Charles and Adam on that day. That's the day that Charles was killed. Duncan says the messages from Charles to Adam were sent from the address where Charles was killed. Blake asks to admit a document as evidence that shows data collected from Lori's iCloud and phone accounts. Okay, so East Idaho News has actually done an in-depth story on those, and I'll have to go over and check those out. So there has been coverage about these emails. So that's probably why I knew about some of that. Duncan now reading messages Lori sent to Alex in March 2019 talking about getting rid of Ned, the evil spirit zombie they said was inhabiting Charles's body. Lori referred to the evil spirit in Charles's body as Ned or Garrett. And you guys, I mean, have you seen the video where Charles called the police because he couldn't get in the house and he was worried about the family? And this was before he was killed. This was, I don't know if this was the night before or a couple nights before. He was trying to get some help. He was working so hard to try and get some help. And Lori was taken to the police department. She was given competency, like she had to spend the night, and she passed all that. It was so much going on at that time. He was trying so hard. It's so sad to know. Oh, it is. There is so much, and it's impossible really for them to unpack this for the jury. It is just, there's just so much. And they're doing things right now, it seems, to introduce the murders and how much was going on around these two people to the jury now, because in introducing them to all of this evidence. And then they're going to have, I'm sure, be able to unpack some of the stuff around it, but I don't know how much of it they're going to be able to get in. I mean, they could be there weeks. There's so much. And if you go back in Lori's life, even before she met Chad, there's a lot in her life if you unpacked all of that. And this case is about this particular trial, being that it is about Lori. I don't know how much of her previous life they're going to bring forward. I don't know. Nightbot is so sweet these days, huh? So they said he was inhabited by evil spirits named Ned and Garrett. And then a woman named Nicole Earl texted Lori October 19th saying Chad's wife Tammy had died. And Lori responded, "Oh my gosh, I did not hear that." Nicole asked Lori what happened. Lori responded that Tammy awoke in the night coughing and then died. Melanie Gibb sent Lori a message later the same day. "I hear what happened to Chad's wife. Oh my gosh." And Lori responded, "Hello, what?" Again, all over the place. Duncan, who's now reading text message from Lori to Colby Ryan, that's her son, Colby, her eldest son, on November 22nd of 2019 about Tylee's Venmo account. "I text Ty to send it, but haven't heard back yet. She will probably just do it before she tells me. Hope you got the Venmo." So he was not able to get a response from Tylee on November 22nd. Duncan talking about another email account, Lolly Time at iCloud. Lori's family called her Lolly. It's linked to 2 cell phone numbers belonging to Lori. This account contained messages between Lori and Alex Cox. So I believe Melanie Gibb tested that Lori had 2, maybe 3 telephones. One of her telephones was only for Chad. Duncan says there were several messages on Lori's phone that were not located in iCloud, which is not uncommon. The texts were between Lori and Chad and occurred right before the murder of Charles Vallow. Duncan reads text messages between Lori and Chad on July 18th. "I just got a letter from the insurance company that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon or possibly Kay?" Chad responds, "Wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out." These messages were exchanged 7 days after Charles Vallow died. And y'all know that she called. She called the day after. Duncan reads more messages from July 18th. Chad says, "I love you. This is terrible, but it is probably another step in bringing down the Gadiatons, especially Brandon." Lori responds later that she spoke to the insurance company and the beneficiary was changed in March. It was probably Ned before we got rid of him. Before we got rid of him. They can't tell me who, of course, but it's done. I'll still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security. Her butt is cooked. Yes, the cause of death was asphyxiation. And I think we're going to find out that it was the same for JJ. But there is no way to know the cause of death for Tylee because her remains are they were so badly demolished, shall we say, that they're not going to be able to tell what her cause of death was. Another message from Chad to Lori, July 26th. "I'm a grown-up version of Harry Potter who has to live with the Dudleys in his little space under the stairs. Every few weeks I get to escape and have amazing adventure with my goddess lover. But then I have to return to my place under the stairs feeling trapped, but I sense permanent freedom is coming." Oh, she could have done without that. Seriously? Y'all don't mess with my Harry Potter. I really don't like this woman now. I didn't like her before. I really don't like her now. Hey, Jeffrey. More text messages. Alex sent to Lori on September 3rd, 2019. Network name is Anti-Lawman. Password is too many kids. And Lori responds, funny. Now, I heard about this one the other day and I was flabbergasted. Alex sent to Lori September 3rd. Network name Anti-Lawman. Password too many kids. And Lori says it's funny. Yeah, leave him out of it. They're not being tried together. They're being tried separately, but they're co-defendants. They have been co-defendants all along, but their trials are being held separately. Blake asked to admit another exhibit as evidence. There are messages from Zulema Pastena's phone and Charles Vallow's iCloud account. Duncan reads messages from Lori to Zulema, May 29th. Perfect. I found out there are 4. One is a level 4 entity, and his name is Hiplos. And she's talking about Charles. Hiplos was the spirit entity that allegedly inhabited Charles's body. On July 2nd of 19, Zulema sent Lori a message saying she was given instructions to rip, tear, or burn the auto of Hiplos to let the body energy out. And Chad sends Zulema a message that day thanking her for her help with Hiplos, saying Mother Earth is very grateful for what she and Lori are doing. Okay. Mother Earth is grateful? What the hell, Chad? That's not very churchy, Mother Earth. Ugh. Duncan reads a chain of messages between Zulema and Lori on June 2nd of 19. Messages range from 11:52 to 12:42. So Zulema and Lori. Now, you guys know Zulema was married for 10, I think it was like 10 days to Alex Cox. So they weren't married long, but they were married right before he died, interestingly. The messages range from 11:52 to 12:42. They're talking about being ready, sending fire, blinding him with light. I'm feeling it big time. I feel him. Did he leave? I can't see him. I felt like I was chasing him. Get him. Oh, I'm chasing. You are amazing, lady. I'm tired now. Me too. I'll keep the fire going till he's gone. Oh, good catch, Annie. That is a good catch. They buried them in the ground, therefore giving them back to Mother Earth. Mother Earth thanks you. I totally missed that connection. Good job. Okay, Jeffrey, I'm glad you came by. I appreciate it. Y'all, this is a lot. You can go and read this on I'm only up to the 10 o'clock mark. Now they go until 3:30 every day, and there will be a lunch break. Oh. Yes, it was good to see you, Jeffrey. And I may not be able to read all of this either. I'm tired. No, they will not be in court on Monday. That is correct. Okay, good. So if y'all want me to keep going, I certainly can. I still want to be boring anybody. I tell you what I could do. I could bring in my hands and show you my knitting instead of all this screen here. If y'all want me to. Well, no, I can't do that either. Unless I read it from my phone, and this is a lot easier to read. Let me see if I can minimize. If I'll still be able to see it. Hold on, y'all. We have ways. There we go. That's not too bad. Where was I at? Okay, the Zulema stuff. Yeah, it is. Oh, Lorna. That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. It does sound dark. Dark magic. It does. Okay, so y'all just keep working. What are y'all working on? I had not said anything, Chels, but here's what was interesting. I was listening to, like I said, I was listening to Gigi McKelvey, and she said that being in the courtroom and watching the jury, that you could tell that most of the jury had not heard any of this before, which is amazing, isn't it? That they absolutely had not heard this before. That's really hard for me to believe, because it's just wow, right? And just how did they manage to get a jury had not heard a lot of this before? I don't know how they managed to do it, but it looks like they did. It looks like they did get, for the most part, they got a jury who had not heard about this case. Now, I'm wondering if this jury is one that probably knew the kids were missing, because that was very national. And that's what I was listening at the time that I became familiar with this case, was when the kids were missing, and everyone kept asking Lori. We knew that Lori had gone to Hawaii, and then she had this, and then we found out that she had gotten married again, and that she was newly married, and that the kids were gone. We didn't know. I didn't know about the other, like Charles or any of that stuff. I just knew that she had just gotten married in Hawaii, and that the kids were missing, and she wasn't telling anybody where the kids were. And so I was following the case at that time because of all of that. And I'm wondering if this jury was the same, that they also only knew that the kids were missing, that they did not know anything else. So very interesting on that front. Now, okay, now let me go back. There we go. Now you got all three of us. Pink, white, and red. Needing a baby blanket. Oh, that Sophie's Universe is really intricate. Working on a golden blanket. Awesome. Awesome. It's 114 rows. So you're, wow. Hey, Katie. How you doing, hun? Y'all send all the good vibes out to Katie. She has had her surgery. Everything went really well, but she can't knit or crochet and she's bored stiff. So, hey, we're talking about the Lori Vallow case. Maybe we can keep you company. Glad you're here. Okay. Ah, the feeling hasn't come back yet. Okay. Okay, yes, maybe soon. I hope it's soon. I don't know if you want it to come back right away. Maybe it might be a little bit painful at first. I hope not. Okay, so I think we just talked about the stuff between Zulema and Lori. Now, Duncan reading an email sent from a Karen Walker in April of 2019. Okay, we got to move this camera over so you can get me. You get me? There we go. So that Karen, that is the same one that Charles found these messages from, this Karen Walker, about a flight. Lori was living in Houston in April of 2019. And Chad responds that he can come and he will talk with Karen later about the flight. Blake has no further questions. John Thomas will now cross-examine Detective Duncan. The judge calls for a mid-morning recess to discuss some items outside the presence of the jury. Zulema's Madison County Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Spencer Rammel says the next witness is Zulema Pastains and that the prosecution has recently learned of a criminal conviction in Arizona in the 1990s. So Zulema is here with an attorney. That does not surprise me about her. So I do not know what her charges are. Oh, here it is. Zulema's charge is from a 1998 felony drug possession. Thomas argues it's not appropriate for Zulema's attorney to be here as he's not licensed in Idaho. The defense says it will not bring up Zulema's prior charge. So remember, they were talking about this outside of the jury. Prosecuting attorney Rachel Smith says Zulema's attorney is here more for aid and counsel. Smith says there is zero evidence that Zulema will take the fifth, and her attorney is here out of an abundance of caution. Zulema was offered a limited use immunity agreement signed 4 years ago with the prosecutors. Wow, 4 years ago. So she's known for 4 years that she would be coming up onto the stand. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, that's when all this started, isn't it? Well, I mean, the kids were found in June of 2020. That's not quite 4 years. Anyway, okay. Feels like it's been going on forever, though, doesn't it? Boyce says if her attorney is here as personal counsel in regards to matters in Arizona, it should be okay to have Zuleima's attorney in the courtroom during her testimony. Her attorney is Garrett Smith, who also represented Melanie and Ian Pawlowski. Melanie is Lori's niece. Okay, court went on break. Zuleima was married to Alex Cox for only 2 weeks before he died. There is a story up on East Idaho News about Zuleima and Alex. What Alex Cox revealed days before he died and the unusual message that he gave his wife. So if you want, you can go over. I can't read all of those that are related, that are linked in this, or we won't get all the way through it, y'all. Yeah, you did, Chels. I always make too much food. So jurors are being brought back into the courtroom. Zuleima is called to the stand wearing a gray shirt with a matching suit coat and white high heels. Well, I don't know if anybody has seen Zuleima. You can see her. There is an interview with her with the Idaho police where she talks about some things, and she is Miss high heels would be definitely be a part of her decor. Let's put it that way. She was always very well put together, always dressed to the nines. Rachel Smith is questioning Zuleima. She lives in Gilbert, Arizona. Zuleima says she met Lori in the early fall of 2018 at Melanie Gibbs' house. Melanie was having a meeting at her house, and she invited Zuleima to come and see Lori speak. Zuleima and Melanie met at church and were in the same ward. Now, this is going to get into some talk about how the LDS church functions. They're set up in like groups, which are called wards, and it's confusing to me, and I don't understand it. So when something comes up, it's probably going to be like LDS talk. Okay. Hey, Nisi. That's okay. So they were in the same ward. When Zuleima met Lori at Melanie's house, Lori testified that angels had visited her, including the angel Moroni, and she was a personal witness of Jesus Christ. Seriously? Can you imagine being on the jury and this jury having not been familiar with some of these things? And someone says, yeah, she told me she was a witness to Jesus Christ. I can't imagine what this jury must be thinking right now, hearing some of this stuff, because for the first time today, they heard about Alex Cox having killed Charles, because the jury did not know that. This is information that was given to them today. Now they're hearing about all of these, the lightness and the darkness and the evil spirits, and they're hearing about zombies, and they're hearing about portals, and they're hearing about these wards and the LDS church and all of this talk, and they're hearing people talking about spiritual warfare and there's all kinds of stuff going on, and they're getting it all. I imagine they went home at the end of today and went, oh. They're probably like me. They're tired, y'all. They're really tired. And this was the first week. First, they had to go through selection. Then they got selected. They didn't get to go home because they got selected. Now they're going through this first week of these people are going to be exhausted, not to mention all of the horrible pictures that they've had to look at. Terrible, terrible pictures. Bloody, gory, nasty pictures of these poor kids. So I really, really feel for the jury and the family so much. Okay. So Zelema says when someone's getting visitations from heavenly beings, it would mean this person has a very high spiritual standing, is very righteous, and is spiritually above other people. Zelema says it was significant when Lori said she was a witness of Jesus Christ because it means that Lori would have seen Jesus, and this would be the highest spiritual experience a person could have. Lori said angels put names in the computer for her to take to the temple. Zelema says that she believed Lori. You can't make this shit up, y'all. You really can't make this shit up. Lori said angels put names in the computer for her to take to the temple. Zelema got Lori's phone number, and then they took a trip to St. George, Utah for a conference. Zelema says that the trip to St. George, they sat next to each other in the car and their friendship developed. The conference was for preparing a people, a conference to teach you how to be better prepared for anything that may happen, disasters, etc., as well as preparing for the second coming of Jesus Christ. Okay, now, this is a very big part of the LDS Church. The LDS Church, they actually have, and I have seen and watched some of the videos where they are canning, they are dehydrating, they are putting food back, and they have some wonderful recipes. They're very well prepared. They believe that they take care of themselves, and they have enough to also share with others. And that is a part of the church. Okay. So it's prepping in a way, but it's also just a part of their belief system with the church. Okay. Yeah. Right. I know. I know. I hope no. I hope they don't get called. They in a lot of places I know they don't have to serve for another 5 years at least. Don't ever call them again, y'all. Don't ever call them again. They have done their due. After just the first week, they've done their due. Whew. Yeah, self-sustainability. They certainly do. So it's a part of what they believe. Okay. So Zelema says Lori spent a lot of time at Chad's table during the conference. They were talking with each other, and Lori was very flirtatious, giggly, and putting the moves on him. Lori said she was going to stay at Chad's table until she sold all of his books for him. She stayed at the table a lot. Zelema says at the end of the conference, they helped Chad pack up his table, and he only had one box left of books. They loaded up his car, and then Chad left. Lori drove their car back with Melanie Gibb and Zelema in the back seat, and Lori was asking the women to look up scriptures about James the Less, L-E-S-S. Chad had told Lori in a previous life they had been married to each other, and he had been James the Less, and that she was his wife, Elena, on the first day of meeting. First day. They discussed having been married before. Now, if y'all don't know, Chad has several books, and you can find them if you look up Chad Daybell on Amazon. You will find his books. If you would like to buy them and support Chad, you are more than welcome. Just saying that is where you can find them. He wrote a couple of books that were supposed to be like related to his family, somebody in his family. And then the next thing he wrote about having had some sort of a religious experience after near-death experience. He had supposedly 2 of these near-death experiences. And after his near-death experiences, he wrote these books saying that he has now got all of these powers that were given to him during all of that, because he went almost to the other side, or he went to the other side and then he came back. Anyway, evidently he made a lot of people believe it. That's all I can say. Smith, this is the prosecutor, asked if photos were taken at the conference. And Zulema says yes. And Smith asked to admit 3 exhibits as evidence. And these exhibits are photos. 2 were taken at the Preparing a People conference in St. George, and 1 was taken at a conference in Boise, Idaho. The first photo shows Zulema with an author, Melanie Gibb, and 2 other women at the conference. The next photo shows Chad Daybell with Zulema, Melanie Gibb, and Lori, and another woman at the conference. After the St. George conference, Zulema says she saw Lori at a Preparing a People conference in Mesa, Arizona. Chad Daybell was there with his table. Lori had been ghosting Zulema, so they had not spoken in a while. Zulema went to chat with Chad, and Lori approached, very sweet, and invited her to come to her house for a small gathering after the conference. Lori told Zulema she asked Charles to go somewhere so people could stay at her house during the conference. Now, I know Melanie Gibb also talked about this, and that Chad was not there when she was at this deal at Lori's house. Chad ended up giving Zulema a blessing. During the blessing, he told her she was a very special person. She was going to do some amazing things in the future, and he was grateful to know her. The blessing was full of a lot of praise, and Lori was present for the blessing. After the conference, Melanie continued to see Melanie Gibb at church. Zulema says she used to visit Melanie Gibb a lot, and there was a meeting with Chad, Lori, and Zulema at Melanie's house. Now remember, Melanie is Lori's niece. Oh, y'all, it's really hard for me to purl and read to you. Just saying. I'm working it hard over here. Chad came to record a podcast with Lori and Melanie. During his visit, Chad said he wanted Zulema to meet him, Lori, and Melanie Gibb at lunch at Firebirds in Gilbert, Arizona. Chad told Zulema he had information to give her about her prior lives and probations. So probations is another word. I don't even know. I don't think that the probations was an LDS thing, but I think that it might have been, and it was something that they twisted again in order to use to make these other stories and powers that Chad supposedly had sound better. They used the parts of the LDS teachings and just twisted them. That's my understanding. Chad was trying to give Zulema the information, but she says Chad and Lori did not want Melanie to hear what he was going to say. Later, Chad called Zulema to tell her about her prior lives. He said there was a way he rated people on the light and dark scale. He gave Zulema a light rating and said she had other lives on the earth with the times and who she was in prior lives. So supposedly, Chad was able to tell everybody who they were before, that he had all these powers because he had visited the other side and come back with all of this power. Zulema says her thoughts are jumbled and has taken several drinks of water, and she has also wiped her eyes with a tissue and is sitting in silence. She says in a previous probation, Chad told her she was Lori's daughter. Zulema was raped and killed at age 14. Her body was dismembered by the Lamanites, and she was killed at the same time Lori was killed when Lori was her mother. Well, that's great to tell somebody something horrible. Lori later invited Zulema to go to lunch at Firebirds. When they met, Lori made a diagram explaining how many worlds there are, how many probations one person has, and how people are either light or dark. So there's like this somewhere, there's this whole diagram about this. Zulema doesn't recall how Lori explained where she got the information, but Zulema assumes it came from Chad because he was the one who had given Zulema her light dark scale rating. Zulema says her light level was 4.2, a very high number on the chart, and Lori's was 4.3. During their lunch, Lori told Zulema that Charles was possessed by a dark spirit named Garrett. She said Charles was acting different, more organized than he was before. He was a completely different person, and he looked shorter than he was before. So according to them, not only were they inhabited by spirits, okay, but supposedly they looked different too. So trying to tell everybody that these people are that once they have been inhabited by these evil spirits, that their demeanor and their body, they don't look like themselves anymore. They look like this new themselves with this new person in them. Good night, Sandy. Take care. Glad you were here. I do not know. I think he just wanted to keep her close. I think she was believing what he was laying down, and he wanted Zulema to stay close so she could help. They wanted their own. They were building a group, you guys. You have to understand, they were building their own little cult group, or so they thought. Sandy, you take care, and I hope that your husband does well too. Absolutely. Take care. This conversation at Firebirds took place in February of 19. Zelema kept a receipt from that lunch because that's where Lori drew the diagram. Oh. Zelema eventually turned over the receipt and it will be admitted into evidence a bit later. Oh. Zelema said while they were at Preparing to People conference, Lori said that she and Charles were having financial difficulties. Lori said she had been the beneficiary of her former husband, Joseph Ryan's life insurance policy before he died. I told y'all, it started long before Chad. It just got really escalated once she met someone who was willing to buy her bullshit and keep going with it and help her get the money she wanted. So I know that a lot of evidence gets admitted once a trial is over, but maybe not before that, Annie. Hard to say. So on the stand, Zelema asks to take a second, pours herself some water, wipes her nose and eyes with tissues, and then she says that Lori told her she had slept with Charles twice, not knowing he was possessed. And Lori told Zelema that toward the end of March, Lori wanted a group of women to meet so Lori could show them and teach them some things. The women met at Zelema's house at the end of March. Nicole, Christina, Serena, Melanie Gibb, Lori, and Zelema were there. Lori had a whiteboard and drew the same diagram that she had at the restaurant. Lori taught about multiple probations and the light-dark scale. Lori gave Zelema a sticky note with her prior lives, and all the other women received theirs too. Lori told the women they needed to cast out the demon from Charles and said they needed to do a casting on him. So this starts talking about the castings, where they're going to cast out these evil spirits that have taken up residence in people that Lori needs them cast out of. Let's put it that way. Yeah, all women. So Zelema says the women needed to hold hands, and Lori assigned roles in the casting. Each of them were given tools and roles in the casting. Lori asked Zelema to use fire. Each person said their part, and then Lori would finish it by doing a sealing of the casting. Sounds like a seance, y'all. The casting was to get rid of Garrett, the evil spirit that was possessing Charles. Zelema remembers back to the original lunch at Firebirds. I think Serb's left to go get. Hold on. Is it time? Get your green toy. I'll be right back, you guys. It's time. Okay, green toy done. You know, Serbs has been a little put out because there have not been nearly enough plates to lick since Chelsea and the grandkids went home. It's been a little put out. I know. It seems like witchcraft, doesn't it? Yeah, I am quite sure. Yeah, I'm quite sure there's so much of this that has nothing absolutely to do. Well, you know, someone made an observation saying that to them it seemed like he was using some of the things from shows. So some of his stuff sounds a lot like the series Stranger Things, if you guys have watched that. So Chad's pulled together an interesting mix of LDS, um, witchcraft, Wiccan, movies, books. Yeah, this whole interesting mix of things to make up who he really is. Do what? Yeah, pre-washer of dishes got laid off. He sure did. He's not happy. Oh, a little bit of Charmed. Yep, a little bit of Charmed in there. Yep. Okay, Nightbot. I will check it out later. Whew. Okay. We about got the first part of the day done, you guys. So there's really a lot of this here. Let me go forward just a little bit because Zulema talks about the castings. Melanie Gibb talked about the castings. And Zulema says that at the end of the casting, Lori would call Chad to see if it worked. And Chad told Lori it worked. But then later, Lori said that Chad said even though the demon had been cast out, another more powerful and skillful demon named Ned had come into Charles. So they had to do more castings. And this time, Alex Cox and Lori were there. Lori and Chad said people originally said Alex was a first creation, meaning that it was his first time on earth and he wasn't as spiritual as other people, so certain things could not be discussed in front of him. So at this point we hadn't clued him in about things. Chad and Lori said that Alex had been exalted in other creations and had been on other earths multiple times. Because of this, he was now a powerful spiritual being. And Zulema says Alex believed this and was very excited to find out who he was. During the second casting, everyone had a different part. Smith asks what was Alex's part, and she takes a minute to think, and she believes that Alex was a warrior, but she doesn't exactly remember who he was. I remember something about this, and there was something about because they held hands, that he was a warrior that was like supposed to help to keep any of them from falling away from the group while holding hands, that he was this strong man, hold them all together. That was talked about somewhere. Okay. Zulema asked Lori why she moved to Texas with Charles after all the problems she had with him, and Lori said she needed to go so she could get her finances straight. Lori always told Zulema that she had a connection with the number 711, And Lori mentioned it all the time and said she had a spiritual connection with the number. What, 7-Eleven? I did too, man. Them slushies were good. Lori told Zulema it was 7-Eleven when Charles died, so his death was all orchestrated by God, and Hiplos had been delivered to her and Alex. Lori told Zulema that on the day Charles died, he came from out of town to pick up JJ for school. While he was putting JJ in the car, good night, Barbara. While he was putting JJ in the car, Lori took Charles's phone and he came back for it, but she would not give it to him. They started arguing about the phone. Alex was there and got involved in the fight as Alex was trying to protect his sister. Tylee came into the middle of the fight with a baseball bat, telling Charles to leave, and Charles took the bat away from Tylee. Charles then hit Alex on the back of the head with the bat. Charles and Alex wrestled, and Alex got his gun and he shot Charles. This was all according to what Lori told Zulema. And that Lori told Zulema certain things needed to happen before the second coming, and she needed to cleanse the earth of evil spirits. She was taking steps to usher in the second coming, and Charles's death was one of those steps. Lori told Zulema that Chad told her that Lori needed to move to Rexburg, Idaho, because it was going to be a refuge as other countries were going to invade the United States. Chad said soldiers and warriors would defend Rexburg, and the area had been prepared as a place of safety. Good Lord, y'all, this is tiring. And that's just before lunch. Whew. I know. A little bit of that thrown in, right? I wonder if he was watching that series. Let's see, when did the Zion Society cult series? Yeah, I read Mike King's book. Was that on the Zion Society cult? There was a documentary series, and there because there was two. There was Zion Society, but there was another one also that was up north. Yeah, psychotic. How do people get anything done in life when they're doing all this crap? Okay, so Mike King's book talked about the Zion Society. Yes. Yeah, I bet he did. But there was the Zion Society that Mike King did was one, but there was another one, and they were even in politics. They were in public offices, and they were moving people from there to India, I believe, and because I want to say that the leader had to leave the country, so then they tried to bring everybody over to India. I don't remember what the name of that one was. But I have read Mike King's book. And then, anyway, you guys, I'm done for tonight. I'm done for tonight. It's time to go relax. I'm going to let you guys go relax too. But you can see where this gives you a little bit of insight into some of the testimony that was happening in court. But I mean, look at this. JJ had a service dog named Bailey. Lori said the evil spirits attacking JJ were going into the dog because it was easier to get into him. So Lori sold the dog after Charles died. She sold his dog. Now, I just can't with this woman. It's terrible. These are the things that she was doing. Absolutely, Annie. You are so welcome. Oh, goodness. It's all a crock. And it's so hard for me to believe that so many people believed it. That hurts. That really hurts. But it's not, this kind of thing has been going on a long time. I mean, we go back to, I can't think of his name now. I'm too tired. Where everybody drank the Kool-Aid. That was a lot of people. A lot of people who followed him. Jim Jones. If we just look at Jim Jones, can you imagine how many people? Unbelievable. They all drank the Kool-Aid in Jonestown. Absolutely. Okay, you guys, thank you for joining me tonight. It was so good to see you all here again tonight. I will be back on Sunday. I have lots of goodies that I'm going to tell you about Chelsea and my visit with the boys, and I'll fill you in on some of the things we did. I do have a video that will be coming out for you tomorrow that I hope that you guys will enjoy, and it's my haul that I got. So that I actually have 2 videos, but I don't think I can get them both out tomorrow. So one will come out tomorrow, and then I'll come and talk to you on Sunday, and the next one will probably go out next week. I'm trying to get caught up. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you thank you. So good to see you all. I love all of you. Chelsea, I'm so glad you're home and you're safe. I hope that you're in that bathtub and you are relaxing and having some mommy juice. And that those boys go down and have a good night's sleep. I miss you guys already. Can't wait to see you again. I have a few days before my next trip, you guys, but we will talk about that later. So have fun some point in your day, you guys. Have some fun today at some point in your day. I love y'all. Good night.